হ্যালো স্টুডেন্টস, আজকে আমি তোমাদের একটা গল্প বলতে এসেছি। একটা বন্ধুত্বের গল্প। সেই গল্প যা অসমবয়সী দুটো মানুষের মধ্যে গড়ে উঠেছিল, কিন্তু আমাদের সমাজ এত নিষ্ঠুর যে সেই বন্ধুত্ব শেষ অবধি টিকে থাকে না, নষ্ট হয়ে যায়। আমাদের সমাজ এখন একটা ভাঙনের মধ্যে দিয়ে যাচ্ছে। আমাদের সমাজে সম্পর্ক, ভালোবাসা, বন্ধুত্ব এই শব্দগুলো শুধুমাত্র শব্দ হিসেবেই পরিচিত। বাস্তব জগতে এর পরিচয় বা এর অস্তিত্ব খুঁজে পাওয়াটা খুব কষ্টকর। তোমাদের সিলেবাসের মধ্যে একটা গল্প রয়েছে আর.কে নারায়ণের লেখা, লীলাস ফ্রেন্ড বলে। সেই গল্পটা ঠিক এমনই একটা গল্প, যে গল্পটার প্রথমটা বেশ মজাদার, বেশ আনন্দের, সুন্দর একটা বন্ধুত্বের। কিন্তু যত গল্পটা এগোয় তত আমরা দেখি কিভাবে বাস্তবের যে তেতো সত্যি, যে নিষ্ঠুরতা, যে নিষ্ঠুর সমাজ, সেই সমাজ বা সেই নিষ্ঠুরতা বা সেই তেতো সত্যি, সেগুলো একটা নিষ্পাপ সুন্দর সম্পর্ককে নষ্ট করে দিচ্ছে। হয়তো সেই সম্পর্কে জড়িয়ে থাকা দুটো মানুষ তারা নিজেরাও চাননি যে তাদের সম্পর্ক নষ্ট হোক, তারা সম্পর্ক নষ্ট করার মতো কোনো কাজও করেননি, কিন্তু তাও একেবারেই তৃতীয় ব্যক্তির জন্য বা তৃতীয় ব্যক্তিদের জন্য বা পারিপার্শ্বিক অবস্থার জন্য তাদের সম্পর্কটা ভেঙে যায়। So now today we'll talk about friendship, emotion, love, unconditional feelings between two persons who are not of same age, but they grew a very strong, a very emotional bond between them, a very emotional friendship, a very strong friendship between them. But throughout the course of their lives, the materialistic world, the cruel society, the cruel thinking of the society destroys their friendship. And the readers, as the readers, we are questioned that when we doubt an innocent person, when we destroy an innocent relationship, just out of our greed, just out of our selfishness, just out of our partial thinking, our discriminationary thinking, do we really think that we are humans? Are we able to call ourselves as humans? I don't think so. So let's talk about this story where we talk about two persons who are the major characters of the story, Leela and Siddha. So let's start. Leela's Friend is written by R.K. Narayan, and the story starts like this. Siddha was hanging about the gate at a moment when Mr. Sivashankar was standing in the front veranda of his house, brooding over the servant problem. Sir, do you want a servant? Siddha asked. Come in, said Mr. Sivashankar. As Siddha opened the gate and came in, Mr. Sivashankar subjected him to a scrutiny and said to himself, Doesn't seem to be a bad sort. At any rate, the fellow looks tidy. Where were you before? He asked. Siddha said, In a bungalow there, and indicated a vague somewhere. In the doctor's house. What's his name? I don't know, master, Siddha said. He lives near the market. Why did they send you away? They left the town, master, Siddha said, giving the stock reply. Mr. Sivsankar was unable to make up his mind. He called his wife. She looked at Siddha and said, "He doesn't seem to me worse than the others we have had." So, in this portion, we get a picture of Siddha and Mr. Shivsankar and his wife when they first meet. They first meet in front of the house of the Mr. Shivshankar, where Mr. Shivshankar was busy in thinking about the servant problem. They don't have any servant right now. They are having a problem there. They need a servant for their housework and for looking after their daughter, Leela. But they don't have any, so he is in a thinking that what he should do. So at that point, he saw Siddha, and Siddha also was looking for work. It seems like that. And when Siddha asked that if they want a servant, Mr. Shivshankar started, checking him after a lot of scrutinizing him, and he thought to himself that okay, this guy is tidy, is neat and clean. So let me ask him some questions. And he asked him about his past job experience. And from this point, we get to know that Siddha was not telling truth. Siddha gave some vague reply, some, not that particular address, and he doesn't even know the name of his previous master. That is odd. If you are working under a doctor, you must know his name because there are so many people who comes to visit the doctor. So it is a popular name, but he doesn't know that. Mr. Shivshankar was not also very worried about this kind of things. He just wanted a servant. He was in a dire need of a servant. So that's why he doesn't ask so many questions. As an Indian husband, he is not so sure about this kind of things. That who would be the best servant for their house. So it is up to his wife, because the wife stays at home in a general setting of Indian family. So she is the best judge here. So what does he do? He calls his wife, and his wife comes here, and his wife also says that okay, this guy is better than the rest, better than the other servant they had. No, look wise and conversation wise. He looks gentle, he looks um, timid, he looks tamed, he looks tidy. So that's okay. A servant should not be, you know, the opposite of tamed, the opposite of timid, the opposite of tidy. He shouldn't be like that. So that was, you know, going good for Siddha. But the final decision was not made. So after that, what happens? Leela, their 5-year-old daughter, came out, looked at Siddha, and gave a cry of joy. "Oh, father," she said, "I like him. Don't send him away. Let us keep him in our house." And that decided it. Siddha was given 2 meals a day and 4 rupees a month, in return for which he washed clothes, tended the garden, ran errands, chopped wood, and looked after Leela. "Siddha, come and play," Leela would cry, and Siddha had to drop any work he might be doing and run to her as she stood in the front garden with a red ball in her hand. His company made her supremely happy. She flung the ball at him, and he flung it back, and then she said, "Now throw the ball into the sky." Siddha clasped the ball, closed his eyes for a second, and threw the ball up. When the ball came down again, he said, "Now this has touched the moon and come. You see here a little bit of moon sticking?" Leela keenly examined the ball for the traces of the moon and said, "I don't see it." "You must be very quick about it," said Siddha, "because it will all evaporate and go back to the moon. Now hurry up." He covered the ball tightly with his fingers and allowed her to peep through a little gap. Ah, yes, said Leela. I see the moon. But is the moon very wet? Certainly it is, Siddha said. So now you can understand what is going on. Mr. Shivshankar and Mrs. Shivshankar could not decide whether they will keep Siddha in their house as their servant or not. So after that, Leela, their 5-year-old daughter, comes and she instantly likes Siddha, and she said that please don't send him away. Leela requested to her parents to keep Siddha, and that was the final uh, decision, because it was Leela for whom the servant was mostly needed to look after her. So after that, Siddha's daily activities were described by the narrator, that Siddha was given 2 meals a day and his salary was 4 rupees a month. You have to understand, when the story was written, it was a long time ago, and 4 rupees a month was, a quite something. For example, 400 rupees now. So in return, what works did he have to do? He had to wash clothes, taking looking after the garden, going for errands. Errands means, household works outside the house, like going to shop, or taking the laundry, or bringing the milk, these kind of things, and chopping woods. And the most important thing is looking after Leela. And after that, the narrator swiftly changes the setting to a daily activity of Siddha and Leela, where Siddha and Leela are playing together, and they are playing like children. Siddha is a, man of some age. He's not young, he's not a child, but Leela is a child. So their age is not the same, but their friendship seems like they are, of same age, and they are playing like two children. And like a child loves to hear imaginary stories and some things which are not actually there, they are keen to know about that. So Siddha keeps up with that, and Siddha tells so many imaginary stories to Leela, to keep her occupied, or to keep her busy, or to you know to make her calm, so that she doesn't become distracted, or doesn't run away, or doesn't disturb any other person. So Siddha keeps her quiet by telling this kind of stories, and keeps her busy. For example, they are playing ball, they are playing catch, and here Siddha makes up an imaginary story about the ball goes up into the sky, and when it comes back, it has touched the moon, and there is a little bit of moon left on the ball. And it is not possible, but he convinces Leela that if she looks closely to the ball, he can see the parts of the moon. And obviously it is wet, because it has fallen into the ground or the garden on the grass, which is wet. So Siddha also makes up this, like the moon is wet, and as the parts of moon are sticking to the ball is also wet, and that makes the story believable to Leela, so much believable. And Leela is full of questions like any other children. She continues to ask so many questions to Siddha, and Siddha is not fed up, Siddha is not disgusted, Siddha is not disturbed. He enjoys question answering question for Leela, because in this way he feels important. Like he knows so many things and he can answer Leela's questions. And for example, there are some questions like, what's in the sky? Siddha answers that God is in the sky. Next question, if we stand on the roof and stretch our arms, can we touch the sky? And Siddha answers no. On the roof, you cannot touch the sky, but if you stand on a coconut tree, you can touch the sky. Both answers are wrong, both answers are impossible, but um, আমরা বড়রা কি করি, বাচ্চারা যখন কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন করে তখন আমরা ভাগিয়ে দিই, এই সব ভুলভাল কথা বলিস না তো। বাট সিদ্ধা কি করে, ও আনসারগুলোকে লীলার মতো করে উত্তর দেয়, যার ফলে কিন্তু লীলার সাথে একটা বেশ বন্ধুর মতো সম্পর্ক তৈরি হয়ে উঠছে। ও কিন্তু বড়োর মতো ট্রিট করে না, একটা বড় মানুষের মতো কিন্তু ও লীলাকে ট্রিট করে না, যার জন্য লীলা ওকে এত ভালোবাসে। হ্যাভ ইউ ডান ইট? Leela is asking Siddha if he had touched the sky. So Siddha answered, yeah, very, many times I have done that. Whenever there is a big moon, I go stand on a coconut tree, I climb on a coconut tree, and I touch the moon. So after that, Siddha also shows Leela that whenever, wherever they go, the moon follows. We know that আমরা ছোটোবেলায় আমরা ভাবতাম যে আমরা যেখানে যেখানে যাই চাঁদটা আমাদের ফলো করছে, অ্যাকচুয়ালি পৃথিবীটা গোল, সেই কারণেই এটা হয়। তো ওরা যেখানে যেখানে যাচ্ছে দেখতে পাচ্ছে যে বাগানে দাঁড়িয়ে ছিল, সেখান থেকে চলে গেল কোথায়, ব্যাকইয়ার্ডে, পাতকুয়োর কাছে, কুয়োর কাছে চলে গেল, তো সেখানে গিয়েও মুনটাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছে। তো দিস ইজ সামথিং টু লীলা, দিস শি বিকাম সো অ্যামেজড। নোবডি পয়েন্টেড আউট দ্যাট টু হার অ্যাগেন, বিফোর। কেউ আগে এটা পয়েন্ট আউট করেনি যে এরকম হয়। দেখেছে দেখেছে মন দেখছে, কিন্তু এই ব্যাপারটা যে আমি এখানে দাঁড়িয়ে আছি, আমি মন দেখতে পাচ্ছি, ওখানটা গেলাম সেখানেও আমি মন দেখতে পাচ্ছি, তো মনটা আমাদেরকে ফলো করছে, এই পার্সপেক্টিভটা ওকে কেউ বোঝায়নি। সিদ্ধাকে খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং করে বোঝাচ্ছে যে দেখো আমরা যেখানে যাই, মনকে আমি বলেছি ওখানে থাকতে, তো মানে যেহেতু মনের সাথে আমার পরিচয় আছে, যাদের সাথে আমার পরিচয় আছে, যারা আমার কথা শোনে, আই হ্যাভ আস্কড ইট টু ফলো আস অ্যাবাউট, আমি একে বলেছি আমাকে ফলো করতে। লীলা র্যান ইন অ্যান্ড টোল্ড হার মাদার সিদ্ধা নোজ দ্য মুন। তো লীলা ইজ ভেরি এক্সাইটেড, ওর মার কাছে সঙ্গে সঙ্গে, আরে জানো জানো সিদ্ধা কিন্তু চাঁদকে জানে, চাঁদের সঙ্গে ওর আলাপ আছে। তো দিস কাইন্ড অফ থিংস দে হ্যাভ, very childish things, very pure innocent things which doesn't have any kind of meaning, actually realistic meaning, which are not realistic at all, but these are the signs of their pure innocent friendship, which is going very well. And after that, we can see that as Siddha is also making stories, imaginary stories, and playing with Leela, Leela is also doing the same thing. Leela is also have a make believe thing, which is teaching in a classroom. Leela is teacher and Siddha is student, which is a totally make believe thing, which is not real, but this is kind of a play, this is a kind of part of their games, and this is also very very much interesting and shows how much love they share. So in next class I will talk about from there, from Leela's classroom, and how the thing goes downhill, how the things got worse after that. So today we got the information about Siddha, a little bit about Siddha, a little bit about Leela, and how much their relationship mean to each other, how they are sharing a very sweet, friendly bond between them, and how did Siddha end up in the Shiv Shankar's house, what kind of work he does, and from the imaginary story of the moon, we can understand that not only Leela is of a pure mind, of innocent mind, Siddha also has that kind of innocent soul. He is also very innocent. He is also very sweet, simple guy. So this kind of things we get to know from today's text. So after I complete my text, I will give you some notes, about the themes, about the characters. Please go through all of that, and please tell me how did you like today's class. Okay, thank you.